Hello everyone, good morning, and today is 19th of January. Welcome to the newspaper analysis. Guys, let's take first of all the overview of the entire newspaper so that we can understand that which articles are important. And the PDF that I will be using here, you can download the PDF from our Telegram channel. The link for the Telegram has been given in the description box. Now, let's see first of all the overview of the articles. Guys, first of all, we will be taking up the section of text and context. Now this particular section is only available, I guess, into the online medium, so maybe into the physical copy it is not there. Fine. So now let's see that first article. It is talking about the Houthis attack onto the UAE. So this entire Houthi and the Yemen crisis we will be seeing into this particular article. Then guys, below, the schools without the freedom. Now this particular article, it talks that why the freedom at the school level is to be given, so that the learning losses or the learning poverty which is increasing in India, it should not increase. So these are some very good articles that we will be seeing. Then after that, the Hindu newspaper, page number 1. Here we can see that no one died of hunger in recent times, the center had told the Supreme Court. So we will see this particular article, that what it is talking about. Then the other things are not at all important for your examination onto this particular page. Moving then guys, further as we move into the city section, rising number of cases, etc., pollution problem, etc., has been given. With respect to the UPSC, much of substance has not been given into these particular pages. Then editorial page, the cracks in UP's socially engineered caste walls. So recently we have seen that the many of the leaders into the Uttar Pradesh, particularly belonging to the OBC classes, they have resigned. So why this? What is this OBC politicization and Hindutva card that is being played? Okay, and why this particular OBC plank will have the implication on Hindutva agenda of the present political party? Such kind of things have been given. Fine guys. Now guys, this particular thing is a political commentary, not at all important for your examination. Then the silver line project is anti-development project. So the silver line project is one of a railway infrastructure development project into the Kerala which is being designed. Now guys, there are two things. Number one, just yesterday, that is onto the 18th of January, we have taken up this particular entire silver line project. Is it clear? So we will not be again be taking this particular article. Secondly, this is essentially a repetition of the yesterday's article, and specifically it is pertaining to one project in one of a state. So such a microscopic articles are not relevant for your examination. Then inflation conundrum. So with respect to the inflation present trends, little bit we will be seeing into this article. Then further moving on, bad start. So basically it is talking about Novak's recent controversy into the Australia, where he where he was denied the visa. Okay, so basically here it has been provided that the Australian Open will now not be that much fascinating because the Novak is not playing, and basically it has been seen that because of this thing the bad start has been there. However, with respect to UPSC, much of substance is not there again. Then escalation of the forgotten war in Yemen. So again, this article is talking about the Yemen crisis. We will see this particular entire article. Then preventing the genocide. So this is a good article. We will be seeing this entire article also. One more shot at national politics. So the KCRs and how with the KCRs and his political stakes and all such kind of things have been mentioned. Again, not at all important article. It is a political commentary. Then further, the drone attacks unacceptable, says India. Okay, so basically guys, recently the drone attacks that had happened into the UAE, into that context it has been said. So we will include this particular thing into the Yemen crisis article that we are going to take up. Then further moving on. Okay, then guys, after that the political news, etc., has been there. Then the rising number of COVID-19 cases, etc., but please don't see these data, not relevant for your examination. Fine. Marital rob, gender neutral laws come at the NCW meet. So National Commission on Women's meet here has been discussed. We'll see that what has been carried here. Then on to the world page, again the Saudi Arabia Houthi crisis, etc., they have been given a lot of the place here. Then into this particular direction guys, as we move on. Fine. Here we can see that the Sri Lanka has been given a 500 million credit line by the India. So we will see that what are the implications of this particular development. Then the cyber attacks surge into the COVID. So basically how as the digitization is going on, so there are certain ill effects of the digitization that are there. Oil prices passed a 7-year high on supply fears. So basically we find this particular thing that the oil prices are increasing, and because of that particular thing the inflation in India can also increase. So into the inflation article we will take this particular article also. Then guys, after that there is a sports page, okay, and that is all about the overview of the today's newspaper. And now let's discuss all these articles one by one in the detail. Now, as we start our every class with a GS quote which you can use in one of your GS papers. So today we will be taking the quote from the Greek philosopher Aristotle. So Aristotle had talked on to the importance of education. He says education is an ornament in prosperity and a refuge in adversity. So education basically it plays a very big and a kind of a supportive role in one's life. It is an ornament in the prosperity and the refuge into the adversity. So into the best of the best times and into the worst of the worst times, education is such a tool which can help you sail through the every situation of the life. We can use this particular quote directly into the GS4, GS2 as well as essays related to the education. Now, taking up the first article first of all. Okay, so guys, here what we have done, actually we have clubbed the two articles, okay, which have been the key articles into the Hindu newspaper. One from the text and the context page, and the other article is from the editorial section. And onto this particular line there are some other small articles scattered here and there into the Hindu newspaper. So that content also we have clubbed here, and holistically we will be understanding this entire crisis. Now where this particular thing will be important, it will be important into the GS paper number 2 into the international affairs. International affairs, this particular article we will be seeing GS paper number 2. Fine. Just a minute. Okay, so we will be seeing it for the international affairs. Now guys, before moving into this particular article, you need to first of all understand the map of this particular region in order to see that, okay, what are the geographical locations. So guys, here you just please see, this is the map of the number 1. Here we can see that we have the Saudi Arabia, clear. Then towards the south we have the Yemen, fine. And then guys, here we see the UAE, okay, and here there is the Abu Dhabi, fine. So this is basically these are the three basically stakeholders which are there into the present crisis: Saudi Arabia, Yemen, and the UAE. Then guys, there are some other locations also that are there, fine. We can see here, okay, though this particular location, it is the Strait of Hormuz. Strait of Hormuz is a very important point, okay, because guys, if you see, the Strait of Hormuz provides a kind of an exit towards the Gulf of Oman that is there, and then into this particular side basically the ships can come and can sail into the Indian Ocean. Now guys, when we talk about the Gulf of the Strait of Hormuz here, fine, here, now here the Iran has a lot of control, is it clear? And we know this particular thing, you might be knowing. If you don't know, I'll tell you that the Iran and Saudi Arabia, they have a very big rivalry, fine. If the Saudi Arabia wants an exit to exit from this particular passage, then many times the Iran can create a problem from this Strait of Hormuz. So this is one particular thing, just keep it in your mind. It will be used, we will be using this information later, so just keep it in mind that the Strait of Hormuz is a very important location, fine. Iran holds a control here, but Saudi Arabia wants control in return, just one thing. Now chalo, let's start with this particular article, okay. So basically guys, first of all, I'll tell you the context that what has happened. So basically recently the Houthis, fine, the Houthis who are based in the Yemen, the Houthis, they have actually carried a drone attack in the UAE. The Houthis, they have carried the drone attack into the UAE, in which there are certain people who have been died, even certain Indians have also been died into this attack that has been carried into the UAE. Now the UAE and Saudi Arabia are backfiring onto the Houthis who are situated into the Yemen, and because of this particular thing, the crisis has started. So let's see that why this particular crisis is going on, what is the genesis of this particular crisis, fine. So now guys, the roots of this particular Yemen crisis, it is basically traced from the Houthi movement, fine. There was a believing youth movement that got started into the Yemen. First of all guys, I wanted to tell you that here you can see that the Yemen is there, fine. Yemen is there, okay. Now we can see that there is one unified Yemen, okay. But guys, before 1990s, the Yemen was divided in two parts, is it clear? Now the Yemen has been unified, but guys, still there is a kind of a lot of differentiation between the Yemen, particularly the North Yemen and the South Yemen. Now guys, see this particular thing, that when we talk about the Yemen, okay, it has been split into the Cold War, and basically the south part of the Yemen, they were basically little bit of a, they've harbored the Marxist ideology, fine, and then there was a northern republic into the northern side of the Yemen. Okay, so this is one division. Now guys, within the Yemen there are large number of tribal people, large number of different ethnicities also that are living, and into the Yemen there is one particular type of ethnicity which are called as Zaidis. Okay, Zaidis are there. Now guys, Zaidis, these were once upon a time a very powerful group into the Yemen, okay, till 1918, but after that their power get reduced. Is it clear? Now guys, what had happened, few years back there was the Houthi movement started, and this movement was called as the Believing Youth Movement. Now into this Believing Youth Movement there were the two of the people who were there, that is the Hassan al Houthi and his father Badr al-Din Houthi. Now the Hassan al-Houthi and his father Badr al-Din Houthi, into the early 1990s, they wanted that the Zaidis, who earlier were very powerful, they should be organized into the Yemen, and the power should be given into the hand of the Zaidis. So therefore this Believing Youth Movement was started. Clear? Now guys, when we talk about the Badr al-Din, okay, the Badr al-Din Houthi, he was an influential Zaidi cleric into the northern Yemen, and he was inspired by the Iranian revolution of 1979, and such kind of revolution he also started, it wanted to start in Yemen, so that the Zaidis can be given the power. Fine. Now guys, basically their plan was to reorganize the Zaidi minority, but guys, what happened in 2000s, fine, you know this particular thing, that after the 2001 2002 the USA started to interfere into this entire region as a whole. So what happened, this movement which was started to organize the Zaidi, it became a kind of a political movement, and it started to target the Ali Abdullah Saleh, who was the president of the Yemen. Is it clear? So Ali Abdullah Saleh, they started targeting him. They said that this is Zaidis movement. They said that there is a corrupt regime that is operating into the Yemen, and they said that actually the USA should not interfere. The USA's war on terror, which USA publicized, they said that it is an illegitimate war, and the USA should not be given any scope into the Yemen. And they said that the ruling government and the USA, they are hand in glove. So basically this entire Zaidi minorities movement, it turned into the against the government and against the USA. Is it clear? So basically these Zaidis, they started to call them Ansar Allah, that is the partisans of the God, and they started to mobilize the tribesmen, fine, of the entire North Yemen. Fine, here you can see just that the North Yemen is there. So they started to organize the tribesmen, that we will be fighting against the America, and the death to America was a slogan that was given. So this entire thing is happening in around 2003 2004. Guys, again, just to put the things into the perspective, I will just tell you here that the 1990s, what happened, the Zaidis, they started to organize themselves, and what happened, the basically and what happened here, the Believing Youth Movement started. Believing Youth Movement started. Then around 2000, though they were targeting again, basically though they were working for the Zaidis, a political flavor came into the particular movement, and they started slamming the government as well as the USA. They started slamming the government as well as the USA. Okay, so this thing was going on. Now guys, what had happened, just let's take some other things in between that happened. So in 2011, as this particular thing was going on, a very popular uprising then erupted into the entire Yemen. Now what happened from 2004, okay, and in between 2011. So 2004 to 2010, they were fighting, okay, so the Yemen were fighting against the government, and guys, the government of Yemen was supported by the Saudi Arabia and the UAE. Here you can see that the Saudi Arabia is there and the UAE is there. Both are supporting the Yemen's government. Now in 2001, what happened, basically there was the Arab Spring that was going on. Now guys, the Arab Spring, it was a phase that started around 2010 2011, and during this particular time, all the countries into this entire region, they were asking the democracy from their governments. They wanted that more rights should be given to them. So because this Arab Spring was coming around 2010 and 11, into the Yemen also the Arab Spring became powerful. And guys, here what happened, basically at that time the president Ali Abdullah Saleh, fine, he was forced that you should leave the power. Okay, and after the 33 years of rule, he was removed. Now it was said that this President Ali Abdullah Saleh, he was accused that he had involved into the corruption. The governance was failed governance. Is it clear? Basically, unresolved, long-standing conflict with the Houthis were there. I told you that they were very powerful since 1990s. So actually, he was removed. Fine. Now, guys, what happened? The Saleh, Ali Abdullah Saleh, who was removed, he was replaced by his deputy. His name was Abdullah Rabu Mansour Hadi. Okay, so popularly he is also called as Hadi. Now, the Hadi, he presented a blueprint that now we will reorganize the Yemen. And into this particular new map, it was said that the Yemen will be partitioned into the different divisions. What will happen? The Yemen will be partitioned into the different divisions onto the basis of the socio-economic profile of that particular region, as well as the regional problems of the people, whatever they are, they will also be taken up, and the Yemen will be organized into the different region. Now, guys, as this particular new map was shown, this particular map was not given a lot of support. Is it clear? The Houthis, okay, the Houthis, the basically, now guys, the Zaidis and the Houthis, for the time being, consider that they are the same. Okay, so the Houthis, so they wanted that, okay, we don't accept this particular map, and the Houthis, they started to capitalize onto the discontentment, and they wanted that entire northern part of the Yemen, and eventually the entire Yemen should have the stronghold of the Houthis. So starting, what they did, they consolidated their power into the northern part. In 2014, the Houthis, they managed to extend their territorial control. Fine, they took many of the army positions. Is it clear? The capital of the Yemen, Sana'a, that was also taken by the Houthis, which wanted to organize the power of the Zaidis. So they taken over the Sana'a. Fine. Now, guys, after this particular thing, what happened? Basically, as the Sana'a was taken up, fine, the President Hadi, he flew from that particular region, and then he asked more support from the Saudi Arabia and the UAE, that you help us in removing the Houthis who have taken this entire northern Yemen. Is it clear? So this particular thing happened. Now, in 2015, what happened? The coalition started, and this coalition was led by the Saudi Arabia and the UAE. They intervened onto the request of the President Hadi, and they said that, okay, we will remove the Houthis from the northern Yemen. This particular thing started. Now, guys, as this Saudi Arabia and UAE were involved, okay, just see here onto the map, as Saudi Arabia is involved, and I had told you into the start that the Saudi Arabia, it doesn't maintains good relation with the Iran and Saudi Arabia, they are having a very big dispute with each other. Now, the Saudi Arabia is against the Yemen. Okay, just see here, Saudi Arabia is against the Yemen. Now, what Iran will do? Iran will in confrontation will support the Yemen. Clear? So we find that the enemy's enemy is your friend. So as the Saudi Arabia is fighting the Yemen, Iran started to support the Yemen. So therefore, this particular battle, this particular confrontation became even more complicated. Fine. And since then, what had happened? Basically, these Houthis, they have been supported by the Iran. Fine. Iran is helping them in every possible way. Iran is helping them in every possible way. The assault rifles, ballistic missiles, fine, even the financial support, everything is being provided by the Iran. So today it has become more of a ideological war between how many countries? Number one, the Yemen is there. Number two, Saudi Arabia is there. Number three, UAE is there. And number four, Iran is there. Is it clear? And then there are the Western powers also, which also had started to develop their interest into this particular region. Now, guys, as this particular thing is going on, the UAE, it became very much frustrated, and they said that we are withdrawing from the Yemen. And in 2019, they say that we are not any more interested into the Yemen, and we are withdrawing from here. But it has been said that though they said that we are withdrawing, but since then actively they are training the different groups which can attack the Houthis. This particular thing is going on, and Houthis, they don't like this particular thing. They said that though UAE had said that we have withdrawn, but still they are supporting the militias, different groups against us. This thing is going on. Now, guys, in 2017, the Houthis, they further consolidated their control, and after they assassinated their ally and former president Ali Abdullah Saleh. Is it clear? So this particular thing happened. Now, guys, as this particular thing is going on, what has happened now? Now, guys, the issue is this, that this particular confrontation is going on, and it is believed by the Houthis that secretly the plan is being hatched by the Saudi Arabia as well as the UAE against them. And guys, in confrontation, now what has happened? The Houthis, fine, who have been based in Yemen, they have carried a drone attack into the UAE. And as they have carried a drone attack in UAE, there are large number of people who have been died. And now basically again the UAE and Saudi Arabia is saying that we will be responding into this particular manner, and now they are attacking onto the Houthis in return. So this is just a very simple kind of a conflict that is going on. So just you need to remember the name of the key players who are involved here, and just you can answer the question if it comes into the examination. Now guys, if we see the geopolitical competitions that are there here into this particular region, let's understand some of the geopolitical competitions that are going on. Fine. Now basically if we see guys, after so many of the years of fighting, fine, I told you that the Yemen, fine, the northern part of the Yemen, it is being controlled by the Houthis. So into the northern part of the Yemen, many of the important ports that are there, they are into the control of the Houthis. Now guys, this particular region, everybody wants that the stability and peace needs to be there, because guys, here we have the Gulf of Aden. Here we have the Gulf of Aden, and from the Gulf of passing from the Gulf of Aden, the access of the Red Sea can be attained. And guys, from then the Red Sea towards the Europe, we one person any shipment can make a journey. So basically, if the Houthis will become more powerful here, then the passage towards the Europe will be getting restricted. It will get choked. So therefore, resolution of this particular dispute has become very much important. Now, guys, as the Yemen into the Yemen northern part, the Houthis are having the power. Many of the important ports also they have got. The one of a port is the Hodeida port into the Yemen, which is under the Houthi control. But actually, the port is not very practically working. Why? Because the Saudi's navy, it has blocked this particular port. Fine. Then guys, into the south part, fine, into the south part of the Yemen, the UAE is supporting a separatist entity, that is the Southern Transition Council. Is it clear? So a kind of a deadlock has happened. Fine. Nobody is able to win. Nobody is being defeated. A kind of a blockade and a kind of a long war is going on into this entire region. Now guys, the UAE and the Saudi Arabia, fine, they are actually involved into the territorial reordering of the Yemen. They want that the Houthis power should be reduced. There basically the important towns and important cities such as the capital city of Sana'a, which is under the control of the Houthis, they want them, they should be removed. Now guys, when we talk about the UAE wants the unchallenged influence over the strategic valuable Bab el Mandab. Fine. Now here you can see, fine, here you can see that this is the map. Okay, and here we have the Bab el Mandab. Now this Bab el Mandab, it is a very important place, because if you want to go towards Europe, or from here the shipment wants to come back, then it needs to cross from here. And as the Houthis are powerful here, so this Bab el Mandab onto them on here, if the control is to be exerted, obviously the Houthis are to be removed, and the UAE wants the free passage from this Bab el Mandab. Clear? Here we have the UAE, and UAE wants a free passage from this Bab el Mandab. Okay, so the UAE is very much involved into this war. Now guys, what the UAE is doing, UAE is taking the support from the countries of the Eritrea, such as, fine, and they are actually trying to make the bases here, so that against the Houthis they can carry a kind of an offensive, and they can keep this particular region also away from the confrontation. Is it clear? So the UAE, it has taken control of many of the ports onto the island nations of both sides of the Red Sea. Fine, Eritrea, Puntland, Somaliland, fine, they are taking the support from here. Now guys, into this particular entire region, as I have told you that the Saudi Arabia also have a very important kind of a interest in one part of the Yemen. Fine, so this is the map of the Yemen. Now you see, this is the Al Mahara. Now into the Al Mahara, Saudi Arabia has a very important interest. Why it has an important interest? I'll just show you here. Fine, just a minute. Now see this thing, this is the entire map. We have Saudi Arabia here, and this is the Al Mahara. Fine, this is Al Mahara. This is Al Mahara. Now Saudi Arabia wants to make a pipeline through this Al Mahara. Fine, it wants to make a pipeline through this Al Mahara. Why? So that from this particular pipeline, the Saudi Arabia can supply its oil, its natural gas to the different parts wherever it is needed. Now guys, if this particular pipeline is successful, what will happen? Saudi Arabia don't need to rely onto the basically Strait of Hormuz. I told you that here the Strait of Hormuz is there, and into the Strait of Hormuz, who has more control? The Iran has more control. Now any of the Saudi Arabia as a shipment is if it is to be transferred, then guys it has to pass from this Strait of Hormuz. So therefore, in order to avoid this Strait of Hormuz, Saudi Arabia has a special interest into the Al Mahara region of the Yemen. It wants to make a pipeline here. So this Al Mahara region is a very specific significance. So therefore, the Saudi Arabia is so much importantly interested into this entire region. So guys, what is the interest of UAE? UAE wants the Babel Mandab to be secured. What is the interest of the Saudi Arabia? Saudi Arabia wants the Al Mahara needs to be secured so that they can develop their pipelines and they can develop their interest there. Moreover, guys, it is more of a ideological war also that is going on. So with this is the entire crisis. I hope guys that you have understood it. What you can do, you can please download the PDF, and into the PDF this entire article has been given. So please see it from there also. That is all about it. And now let's move to the next article. Now, school without freedom. Okay, so guys, this particular article has been taken from the text and the context page of the Hindu newspaper. Now guys, this particular the schools without freedom, this article had come earlier also into the Hindu newspaper. So basically this article again they have published. Now what this article is talking about, some of the key highlights that have been there, we will be taking it up. Now as it is talking about the education, it will be important for our GS paper number 2 into the answers related to the development, social justice, and within that the education. Now what has happened, we have seen this particular thing that as now the Omicron wave is going on, before that the waves were there of the COVID-19 pandemic. Whenever such kind of waves come, the schools are closed, the schools are shut down. Now the close down of the schools, it has a large number of cost. According to the World Bank's global education director, he had recently said that there is no justification to keep the schools closed due to the pandemic. Is it clear? It has been said that it has been found children, they are not getting severely infected with the COVID-19, and even there is no need to get the children vaccinated before sending them to the school. He had said that there is no science in waiting for all children to get vaccinated before the reopening of the schools. According to the World Bank's global education director, it has been said that due to this particular lockdowns in India, new type of poverty is coming, that is the learning poverty, and this learning poverty is expected to increase from 55% to 70%. Is it clear? Learning losses are increasing, so 55% to 70%. Now it has been said that actually, as we have found that the COVID-19 virus is not spreading very evenly into the India. Most of the time it has been found that the metropolitan cities, crowded city centers, they have been infected more than the villages. But guys, when the school closure happens, when the lockdown happens, a lockdown is extended uniformly to both the rural areas as well as to the urban areas. So it has been said that closing down all the schools don't make any sense. If in India the village schools would have been given the autonomy, clear, they could have operated if the number of cases are low there. But what we do, we apply the one size fit all rule and all the schools are closed together. So basically villages schools, they don't have any autonomy and they are not given the power that seeing the local conditions they can take their decision. There also the schools are being closed and the students, they are facing the learning gaps. Now it has been said that in India the village teachers, if they are given the autonomy, if they are given the power, they can bring much energy into their pedagogy. They can teach the children through education, they can teach the children through observation. Is it clear? Now guys, the observation of nature has been a very important way of learning. Even the Ravindranath Tagore, when he developed the Shanti Niketan, has this particular viewpoint into the mind that the observation by learning is the best way to give the education. In the village there is ample of nature, there is ample of scope of the observation, and as this particular pandemic is going down, rather than closing down the schools, the school can be shifted in some other in some other locations. They can be shifted to the open playgrounds, they can be shifted to the open fields, and there through observation teachers can impart the education. But we have not followed this particular thing. There is no autonomy into the schools, there is no autonomy with the educators, with the teachers. Is it clear? Now it has been provided that when we see the government run schools, there is no provision into the rule book that the freedom can be given. Since the British day, bureaucracy sees the school under the suspicion. The principals, the teachers, their integrity and their capacities are always seen in the suspicion, and because of this particular thing, a lot of learning gaps are happening there. So therefore this particular article calls that we need to now take a new look onto the schools. The closure of schools needed to be reconsidered, lifted, and the blanket ban onto the schools need not to be there. Rather, the considerable autonomy need to be given to the principals, to the teachers, so that they can see the condition of the area where they are applying, and if the number of cases are less, and if by some other strategies education can be continued, they need to be given such kind of powers. So this is, guys, the entire the crux of this particular article. And now we'll move to the next article. Now, no one died of hunger in recent times center. Okay, isn't this news from Times of India? No, this is from the Hindu newspaper. No one died of hunger into the recent times center. Now, guys, as this particular wave is going on, the Supreme Court is questioning the center government that, okay, what is the status of your welfare program? Clear. Now, guys, the center government, it has informed the Supreme Court that we have taken the robust steps and not even a single person had died of the hunger into the recent times. Now, this particular thing is being disputed. Many of the NGOs, many of the civil societies, they said that no, rather large number of people have died of hunger, of starvation into the successive waves of the pandemic that has come. Now, what had happened? The court has asked the states as well as the government to file the status report onto the status of malnutrition and hunger deaths into the India. As of now, no such report is there. Moreover, this part is very important, which we can use in our answers. The Supreme Court has asked the central government to explore the possibility of the model community kitchens. Now, see, there are the already community kitchens that are being organized into the states where the cooked food is being given to the migrant workers, to the poor people. But actually, there is no one common guideline. There is no one model community kitchen. So now the Supreme Court had said the center that the center needs to come out with a model community kitchen scheme, and into this model community kitchen scheme some uniform guidelines should be given to the state, so that state can implement these uniform guidelines and can provide the food to the migrant workers, to the poor people, to the daily wage earners, laborers, etc. Guys, it has been provided that actually the right to food has been guaranteed implicitly under the article number 21 of the Indian Constitution, which talks about the right to life. And even if it not the case, the National Food Security Act 2013 has been passed, and the National Food Security Act 2013 has inherently again given the right to food. So the food is to be provided by any way, and therefore the model community kitchen scheme could be a very important thing into this particular direction. So that is all about this article, and now let's move to the next article. Marital rape, gender neutral laws come up at the NCW meet. So if you guys have followed our newspaper analysis yesterday, we have seen one particular topic with respect to the marital rape. Is it clear? This particular article will be important in GS paper number 2, issues related to the women. Now, guys, yesterday I told you that when we talk about the marital rape is not criminalized in India. Is it clear? Though rape has been criminalized, there is section 375 and section 376. Within the section 375 of IPC, the definition of rape is given, but the marital rape, it is a kind of an exception. Is it clear? So the section 375 fine of the IPC, it says the forcible sexual intercourse or sexual act by a man with his own wife fine is not rape. If the wife is above the 18 years, it is not rape. So therefore there is a kind of a lot of furor, and now the National Commission for Women, NCW, National Commission for Women, it has also suggested that the marital rape in India should be criminalized. The marital rape in India should be criminalized. Now the NCW fine, it is expected to send the recommendation to the Ministry of Home Affairs. Ministry of Home Affairs is looking to review the criminal laws, and into this large number of provisions within the IPC 1860, Code of Criminal Procedure 1973, Indian Evidence Act 1872, all these laws are to be reviewed. And now the NCW had sent a recommendation to MHA that as you are reviewing these laws, also review the section 375 of the IPC, which talks about the rape, and if possible criminalize the marital rape. So this particular suggestion has been given. Now, guys, many other suggestions have also been given by the NCW. Fine, they have also provided that see, recently there was an issue. The issue was of increasing the marriageable age of the girls from 18 years to 21 years. The NCW onto that particular thing had said that such a thing should not be done. They have said that such a thing should not be done. Rather, you bring both the age of, even the age of boys, which is 21 years, reduce it to 18 years. So increasing the age doesn't make any sense. Fine. This is a suggestion that has been given. Moreover, guys, there is one more thing that I want to talk upon here. Fine. One more thing I want to talk here is that basically the NCW, it has also focused onto the need for gender neutral anti-rape laws. Fine. They had said that the same-sex assaults, why the same-sex assaults among the gay people, lesbian people, fine, so the same sex assaults among the gay people, lesbian people, bisexual people, okay, they as well as the sexual assault onto the transgender people, on them also there is a certain urgent task that is needed to be done. Fine. Against the same assault of the transgender people, you need to come out with the stringent laws. This is also one more suggestion that has been given by the NCW. Fine. So this is all which has happened into this particular direction, and all these recommendations you can write in your answers. Fine. As what are the steps that have been taken. That is all, and now we'll move to the next article. Now, this article taken from the Hindu newspaper, it is talking about the inflation conundrum. Now, as we talk about the present times, it has been seen that the inflation, though it was controlled after the month of September and October, but now again the inflation is re-emerging in India. Now guys, when we talk about the inflation, fine, first of all there is the Monetary Policy Committee in India, and the Monetary Policy Committee, it has been given that role of inflation targeting. In India guys, the inflation, it hovers from 2% to 6%. Now 2% to 6%, it is the comfortable range of inflation. It should not go below this and it should not go above this. Is it clear? So this is the comfortable range of inflation which has been given to the MPC. They needed to see that it is maintained here only. Now, if we see guys, what had happened into the month of December, the inflation is again increasing. It has reached to 5.6% into the December from 4.9% into the November, and being 5.6%, it might breach to the 6% line that is there. It has been said that already if we see the urban areas, there is inflation 5.8%, in rural areas it is 5.36%, on pan India it is 5.6%. It can go above the 6%. Many of the districts are, many of the states in fact are already seeing it also. So therefore we need to take some urgent steps. Now already government had taken some urgent steps. What steps they have taken? They had deferred the higher GST that was to be imposed onto the textile. The vegetables and the food prices have went down. Basically guys, the taxes that were imposed onto the petrol and diesel, they have also been reduced, and because of this excise duty cuts into the November, what had happened, the fuel price has also been stabilized. So as of now we find that okay, the inflation, the government has taken the adequate number of steps, but into the medium term there will be very big challenge that will be coming in, and inflation will again increase. What is the big challenge that is coming into the medium term? It is because of the rising crude oil prices. Is it clear? India's crude oil basket, find India's crude oil, as we depend a lot of onto the import, their prices have increased, and it is expected that the prices will go beyond $100 per barrel. And if the international price will increase, obviously we will not be able to do much at the domestic front, and again the price of the fuel will increase, and then the inflation will finally again be increasing. Moreover, we find this particular thing that guys, as right now the elections are going there, fine, the government is not increasing the taxes etc., but once when the elections will be when the elections will be culminated, again the taxes might be increased, and that thing can further increase the inflation on, because of the fuel prices will be increased. So we need to very carefully see this inflation conundrum, and we need to make sure that some urgent steps are being taken into this particular direction. So this is all about this particular article, and now we'll move to the next article. Preventing genocide. Fine. Now this article will be important for GS paper number 2 as well as GS paper number 4. So okay. So basically we have seen in the past few weeks that what had happened, there are some incendiary speeches, some hate speeches have been made in one of a religious assembly in the Haridwar. Okay, you might have come across by this news. Now into this hate speeches that have been made in a religious assembly into the Haridwar, a specific a specific thing has been brought, that genocide needs to be carried targeting some of the minority communities in India. Now genocide, it is an attempt of ethnic cleansing where a particular community, it is targeted and the members of that particular community are killed. Now this article is talking generally about the genocide. Now basically when we talk about the term genocide, it has been credited to Raphael Lemkin. So Raphael Lemkin came out with the term genocide and campaigned relentlessly for making an international treaty against the genocide. In 1946, actually what happened, the three countries, that is the Cuba, India and Panama, they co-sponsored a General Assembly Resolution 96-1, and as per this General Assembly Resolution 96-1, they wanted that the genocide where the ethnic cleansing is being supported, it needs to be made as a crime under the international law. And because of this particular initiative of the Cuba, India and Panama, what happened, the General Assembly in 1948 came out with the Convention on the Prohibition of Genocide, and this particular convention came in effect in 1951. And into this, the Convention on the Prohibition of the Genocide, there are 150 state parties that have agreed to this particular convention. They have signed this convention and they have even ratified this convention. Now when we talk about when we talk about the India had signed the genocide convention, fine, basically, but up till now India had not brought any legislation in accordance with Article 6 of this genocide convention. Now guys, I just want to tell you, there are the two terms that are often we see whenever this any convention is talked about. One is the signing of the convention and other is the ratification of the convention. What is the difference? Signing of the convention means, let's say that there is a proposal, you agree with this proposal, you sign it. Then the ratification means that not only you will sign it, rather you will change your domestic laws also in line with the proposals that have been carried. So as India had ratified, India was also needed to be brought a law onto the genocide. But guys, up till now there is no domestic law on the genocide in India. Is it clear? There are many of the provisions into the IPC with respect to the riots, it is there. Okay, with respect to promoting the enmity between the religious group, it is there, but specifically for the genocide no provision is there. So India should do something here immediately. Second thing, it has been provided that into the genocide convention, it was provided that not only we need to come out with the law for the genocide, rather we need to prevent the hate speeches, fine, we need to prevent the other associated act, fine, which might give the motivation to commit the genocide, which is bringing the kind of a dissatisfaction between the two communities. Such acts were also to be prevented, but on this direction also much of steps has not been taken as per the article. Now recently guys, the example of Gambia can be taken. Now what Gambia has done, Gambia has initiated the proceedings before the International Court of Justice against the Myanmar, because in the Myanmar we see that the Rohingyas, there are many of the attacks that have been carried, and basically many players had said that in the Myanmar against the Rohingyas a genocide attempt is going on. So on to the basis of this convention against the genocide, the Gambia had filed the charges against the Myanmar. Is it clear? Now it has been said that what important thing comes here, the important development is here is that a third party can file a charges against any other country, even though that third party is not impacted. Even though Gambia is not impacted, it had filed a case against the Myanmar. So this particular thing can also happen. Now guys, what might happen, what might be the future implication of this particular thing, as this principle has been affirmed that any other third party can file a case. If India doesn't takes any steps, then somebody can file a case against the India also, that India though had ratified the convention onto the genocide, but it is not taking any kind of a step. So this Gambia opens up this particular possibility against the India. So India guys need to take some urgent steps in this direction. Such thing has been suggested in this article. So that is all about this article, and now let's move to the next article. Now the cyber attacks surge as COVID spurs digital push. So see this particular thing, first of all, where this article will be important. This article will be important in GS3, fine, as well as GS paper number 4. Within the GS paper number 3, internet technologies, find the impact of internet, the digitization, it will be important. And in GS paper number 4, applied ethics, this article will be important. First of all, let's understand the background that what has happened. So recently the World Economic Forum, they had released their Global Cyber Security Outlook 2022 report. So World Economic Forum, they have released the Global Cyber Security Outlook 2022 report. And as per this particular report, it has been said that in the times of pandemic, the cyber attacks onto the firms, MNCs, they are increasing. And ransomware incidents have rose 151% as per this WEF. What is this ransomware attack first of all? Ransomware attack, it means that okay, somebody will target your computer, your laptop, they will lock your computer or your laptop, and all that data that was there, you will not be able to access that particular data. Then they will ask some money in exchange to open up that particular laptop or your computer. They will ask money into the form of, let's say, Bitcoin. They said that transfer these many Bitcoins to us, and only then we will be giving access of your computer back. When you transfer, you get the access. So this is the ransomware incidents that have happened. So 151% increase into the ransomware attacks have happened because of this particular pandemic. Guys, what had happened as the pandemic got started, large number of data, large number of sensitive information had come onto the internet, and many a times there is no adequate safeguards with respect to the cyber security into the MNCs, and these MNCs, these corporates are being targeted, and then the money is being charged. So this is a cyber attacks issue that has happened here. Now, according to this particular report, it has been said that each successful cyber breach costs a company around $3.6 million or 27 crore rupees. So it has a huge economic cost as well. Moreover, most of the times the cyber security experts, managers, they don't know that how much exposed they are, and because of that thing also they become very much vulnerable to the cyber attacks. Now, this is important in GS paper number 3. How it is important in GS paper number 4? In GS paper number 4, we have the topic of applied ethics. We have topic of applied ethics within the topic number 1, and within the applied ethics there are the cyber ethics that are there, cyber ethics that are needed. Now, basically today if we see, there is a lot of anonymity, fine targeting, or basically identifying the perpetrator of a cyber crime, it is not very much possible. So therefore the cyber ethics are also very much important, so that when people are using computer and computer technologies, they are responsible into their usage. They are not targeting the people, they are not using it to spread hatredness, they are not doing the economic crimes by that. So the cyber ethics is also very much needed. Fine, we can say this particular thing. So this is all, guys, which has come into this particular direction, and now we'll be moving to the next article. So this article again taken from the Hindu newspaper. It will be important for our GS paper number 2. Fine, the neighborhood, fine, or the international relations with the neighborhood. So what has happened, India had extended the 500 million credit line to the Sri Lanka for fuel imports. Now, before going into this particular article, let's see the background. So guys, this background goes like this, that the Sri Lanka is an important neighbor of India. Reason being, number one, that guys, the Sri Lanka, it has a large population of the Tamilian people, and the Tamilians, fine, they have a special relation with the India, fine, because they are a very major diaspora of India. Number one. Number two, if we see presently, guys, the Sri Lanka's strategic location has also become a kind of a concern, because the Sri Lanka is very much located near to the India, and within the Sri Lanka, China is trying to build their hegemony. China is trying to build infrastructure into the Sri Lanka, which might be later used against the India. Third, guys, if we see the Sri Lanka, right now Sri Lanka is going under a type of a crisis. Sri Lanka is going a economic crisis. There is a food shortage, which is there. Inflation has increased. A lot of crises are going on. Into this particular crisis, what has happened? China had again tried many times, had tried to show the support to the Sri Lanka. And if China will come here and will help the Sri Lanka, what will happen? The Sri Lanka will become more loyal to the China, and then the Sri Lanka can be used against the India. This is a very big concern that has been there. Into the past, Sri Lanka has repeatedly asked the financial assistance from the India. Now, though India's own condition is not that much good, and India was not in a condition because of the pandemic, okay, but now, guys, as China was offering a lot of financial assistance, now India has also decided to offer the assistance to the Sri Lanka, so that the good neighborhood relations between the India and Sri Lanka can be maintained. Now, guys, as a part of providing assistance to the Sri Lanka, $1.5 billion facility has been approved, and out of this $1.5 billion facility that India is giving to the Sri Lanka, 500 million credit line has been extended to the Sri Lanka, which they can use for imports. So basically, $500 million line of credit have been approved for the Sri Lanka. They will be using it for the imports. Fine. Earlier, 900 million relief to the island nations were also given for meeting their economic needs. Right now, guys, if we see, I told you that a large number of economic problems are going on, and it will be helping the Sri Lanka. Clear? Now you just don't need to go too much into the detail, okay, that how many $1 million exactly were given, in which date that they were given. No, just when you are writing any question onto the neighborhood, any question onto the Sri Lanka, just we can provide this one liner thing that recently India has extended basically a line of credit for this particular purpose. So just that will be the purpose of these things. They will authenticate your answer further into the mains examination. So that is all guys about this particular article. And with this we come to an end to the today's newspaper analysis. Guys, I hope that you have understood it and you're liking our initiative. If you have liked it, please do hit the like button, subscribe to the channel and spread the initiative. So that is all for thank you today. Thank you so much. Take care of yourselves.